Welcome to Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast, episode number 66. Hi, I'm Jill. Thank you for joining us. We're happy to be sharing this episode with you.
Hi, I'm Chris. The Fit Strong Women Over 50 podcast focuses on becoming fit and strong in the second half of our lives.
If you are a new listener, welcome. Our podcast is part of the Becoming Ellie community, which is made up of women like us who want to be fit, strong, and healthy.
We selected the name Ellie because of the wrestling match between Ellie, the Norse goddess of aging, and Thor, the Norse god of thunder and lightning and strength. Lots of people know about Thor, but not so many have ever heard about Ellie. Legend has it that when Thor challenged Ellie to a wrestling match, Ellie won, much to everyone's surprise. Jill and I decided Ellie is our role model because we want to be fit and strong as we age.
If you are a regular listener to our podcast, of course you already know who Ellie is. Please consider inviting a friend to listen. You can find our community on our website, becomingellie.com, where we have over 300 articles. We are also on social media as Becoming Ellie on Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook page. We also have a private Facebook group, which we hope you'll consider joining.
Today's guest, Christine Phillips, knows a lot about the mind and thoughts and their effect on behavior and health.
It's a very thought-provoking interview. Yes, let's go to the podcast.
Christine Phillips is an assistant professor in sport and exercise studies at Cuyahoga Community College with a master's degree in exercise science and is a PhD candidate for a doctorate of philosophy in health psychology.
Christine is a certified health and wellness specialist. She's also a certified yoga teacher and group exercise instructor. Plus, she is a grandmother of 3 and then somehow finds the time to ride her bike more than 2,000 miles in 2020. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, I've known you for a long time, and we met during one of the MS 150 bike rides. But more recently, I found out about you working towards a doctorate in health psychology. I'm curious, is that about studying about the way the brain interacts with the body or how to change health behavior? Can you tell us just a little bit, what is health psychology?
Yeah, you are actually correct on both counts. It is studying the mind-body connection and then has a very strong emphasis on behavior change. So I get to study cool topics like psychoneuroimmunology, which is the true mind-body connection, psycho, brain, neuro, the nervous system and immunology, right, our immunity. And so, yeah, it is both how the body and brain work together and how we can help use science to make positive, healthy behavior change. It's really cool.
That is cool.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
It is.
I'm wondering about your bike riding. So have you already ridden 2,000 miles in 2020, or is that your goal for the year?
I think that I already have. I have not set goals yet for the year, like per year, as far as for miles. But biking has definitely become a passion of mine. It is something that's just I shouldn't say super easy because it's really not super easy for a lot of people. But for me, it's very easy because I have a wonderful bike and there's no impact. So it's great on my knees and all of my joints. So I really just love it. I also have a really good riding group that I ride with. And so we really push each other and support each other in our rides. So it's kind of more about enjoying the sport of riding and then challenging ourselves a little more. We push a little more. Just a spoiler alert, the people that I ride with, we were looking at doing some, ride in Michigan that goes all around Michigan, like the border. It's like 600 some miles in like 9 days or something. So,
oh my. Okay, so I was trying to figure out if you rode long distances or short distances every day. So I was and how you actually fit this all into your schedule.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where whatever you make a priority, right? Whatever you spend your time on doing, right? That's what you do. So it gets scheduled. My bike rides really do get scheduled along with my time that I see my grandchildren and like work. Like these are, when I'm going to work, when I'm going to ride my bike, when I'm going to see my kids, my grandkids, and those are all the priorities. So I pretty much only ride on the weekends. We do long rides. Our longest ride this year was 110 miles in a day. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, that was pretty exciting. And we finished it really well.
Yeah, really amazing. I know for many years you've participated in I think 328 miles, the Pan Ohio,
Yes.
all around Ohio Hope fundraising ride for the American Cancer Society. How do you go about training for that?
Yeah, so just like that, it's just like training for a marathon, really. You do get some short rides, you do some, bursts of high intensity. We purposefully do hill training routes, and then we purposefully do our long rides. We do the longest ride we have done centuries before. We start typically whenever the weather permits. So we have in some years ridden in January just because the weather has been good enough, to ride. And we'll ride when it's about 45. We wear the long pants and on the arm warmers and things like that and gloves and all that. And once we get going, we typically are fine, temperature wise. So we start off early and gradually increase over the months leading up to like the 328 miles, right, which is a Pan Ohio. We go from Cleveland to Cincinnati.
Do you do that in one fell swoop?
No.
Okay.
So typically the ride was canceled this year.
Right.
And then previous years when it has been a sponsored ride, we do it over 4 days. So it really is very doable. The longest you ever have to go is about 20 miles without a break. So there's breaks, rest stops all along the way. They feed us lunch, they feed us dinner. It's a really wonderful ride with just amazing people and obviously a great cause. The money that we raise stays directly in Cleveland and Cincinnati for the Hope Lodges. So I'm really passionate about close to home. The money goes where I can see it, kind of thing.
Right.
And so this past year, because it was canceled, we actually rode in 3 days from Cleveland just to Mason. So we did like 80 miles, 90 miles, and then our last day was 110.
That's amazing. Yeah. Wow. And you don't go real slowly either. I've noticed your speeds. They're seriously like 15, 16 miles an hour average.
Yes. Yeah. The bike really does make a difference. I had a hybrid Bianchi that I rode for many years, and then I got a really good bike used, and you can get some phenomenal bikes used. I just have to say, although not right now, I'll talk about that in just a real quick second, but the bike makes a really big difference, and the weight of it just helps you to go that much faster. Yeah, and it is fun to go fast. But right now, because of the pandemic, it's hard to get bikes. New production isn't what it usually is. So people that are looking to get rid of their last year's model bikes for the latest and greatest are just not selling off their used bikes. It's a tough time to find bikes, which
Sure.
I guess is kind of a good problem because it means more people are still biking.
I went into a bike shop recently and they said they really are having a hard time maintaining their inventory, that bikes come in and then people are in there buying them.
Yeah, which is great. Biking is a great sport. Very, very safe in general. And again, just great on the body too in general.
So the other thing about doing it this year and doing the 3 days is that this wasn't a supported run. There was not every 20 miles someone feeding you and giving you water.
So that's correct. Not every 20 miles, but one of the guys that I bike with, his wife actually was our SAG support. It's SAG, Stuff and Gear is what that stands for. And she drove in the minivan with our supply of, iced up Gatorades and waters, and she would actually buy us lunch. So she stopped and
that's awesome.
we were so super grateful. So she met us a couple of times. We didn't have the same amount of breaks, but we did get a couple of breaks. Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah. Super grateful for that.
When it comes to long distance sports, like running a marathon or doing one of these really super long bike rides, many people have told me that it's more mental than it is physical. And so what are your thoughts on training the mind for endurance sports?
Absolutely 100%. It is so much more mental than it is physical. Obviously, you need to train smart, and that is probably the biggest most important factor. So if you're training smart, you're starting small and you're not getting injured, right? You're doing your recovery, you're doing your cross training. When it comes to the marathon, it's about the longevity. It's like, it's just getting time on the road. It's pavement time, right? And that's just keep going. So getting those long runs in are super important because you need to wrap your brain around the fact that I'm going to keep running and running and running. So that is 100%. Same thing with biking. It's a little bit easier, I think, because you're sitting down, it's, Chris, you can relate to that. It's like you're sitting down. It's a little bit different. It's,
Yes, it
you can
for sure.
coast, right? You got a downhill. Okay, here's a downhill. I can coast. I can kind of regroup and okay, I can keep going. And, it's just a little bit easier to pedal than it is to run, and having done both, in my opinion.
Well, good point. There is no coasting when you run.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. For
It's
sure.
called walking, and it's not good.
Right. No. And even then you're like, oh.
Not that it's bad, but, it just can, you can't sit down.
Right.
With the whole mental thing, I know mantras and affirmations are a lot of trying to keep going for me in an endurance sport. Can you explain what an affirmation is?
Sure.
How it works?
Absolutely. And actually, I've got a great story to share about that as well. And it was recent. So an affirmation is a statement in the present, a positive statement. So I am strong. I am worthy. I am, fill in the blank. And it is a statement that you need to believe wholeheartedly. It can't be like I want to or I'm trying to, right? And so an affirmation is a statement. And so let's say there's something that, if, for example, you have a chronic illness and you are not healthy yet. So to say, I am healthy, you probably aren't going to believe it because you really aren't. So an affirmation would be, in that case, I am getting healthier and healthier every day. Every day and every way, I am getting healthier and healthier and healthier. My choices are improving my health every day, right? So these are statements that you can fully believe and embody and get 100% behind, right? So there's like a yes and when it comes to affirmations.
So is there some sort of science behind the affirmation, something about in the brain?
Yes. So positive psychology tells us that when we focus on the positive and we focus on gratitude, that it shifts our minds away from the negative and we make it happen. So there's centers in the brain, part of the reticular activating system, that what we focus on, we manifest, right? The old saying, fake it till you make it, is true. And so it's like if you've ever looked at or been thinking about buying a new car, and then all of a sudden you see this car everywhere on the road because you're focused on it. You're thinking about it.
Right.
So our minds work the same way. And with positive psychology, so the research that I've read and what I understand is we're still not 100% certain why focusing on the positive is so beneficial, like from on a cellular level, aside from it not focusing on the negative. And again, relating to that reticular activating. So when whatever you focus on, you're going to find. And I will just share that really quick story. So I was biking with my friends a couple of weeks ago, and I had just bonked. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just running out of steam. And yes, we do bike fast, so I didn't want to slow them down. And so I just started repeating in my mind, I kid you not, it was hilarious. I am strong, I am powerful, I have unlimited energy. And I repeat it over and over and over and over. And that's all I said in my brain to finish out the last 10 miles of this ride. And I could believe it. I was feeling like I didn't have energy, but we all have some fat stores. We get lots of calories, right? From 1 gram of fat. And I know this, and that's exactly why I did it. I thought in my brain, what can I say that I can get behind? I'm I do have unlimited energy. Yes, I do. And I finished that ride so well. It worked.
It works. It works. That's cool.
So that's sort of back to I'm on the talking about training your mind for endurance sports, and what you just said is you sort of have to practice that to know that when you're flagging in your ride, that you have a way to boost your energy.
Sure. But I mean,
Is that...
yes. And so like with endurance runs, we do recommend that you have some, glucose supplements, right? To take, people use gummy bears, a shot, there's all kinds of right things that people use. You definitely need to on a physiological basis, make sure that you have the proper fueling sources, right? So you can't really, it's hard to burn fat without carbohydrates. So you need to have some, unless you're in ketosis, and that's a whole nother topic. But
Right.
Most people are going to, when they do endurance activities like that, they will take carbohydrates periodically. And so I knew that I wasn't bonking from a carbohydrate standpoint. I do have supplements in my water and things like that. So I knew that I was fine from a physiological standpoint as well. But yes, yep, you definitely need to have the mindset of I can do this.
And I guess what I was trying to get to was that you actually, so not only do you have to practice riding your bike, you also have to practice using the affirmation.
They certainly would help. Absolutely.
Okay.
Training your mind.
Absolutely. Yes. Training your mind to say, okay, this weekend I've got an 18-mile run I got to get in. Okay, I can do this. And here's the cool thing about affirmations and visualizations, right? So that to me, they really pretty much go hand in hand. It's hard for me to affirm without visualizing. Visualizing the end product, right, is what you need to do. So for example, when I was biking, I imagined myself pulling into the parking lot where my car was located, feeling great.
So it's not just visualizing yourself pulling into the parking lot, but adding in the feeling great.
Absolutely, because that's what I wanted, right? So,
right.
And that went hand in hand with I am strong, I am powerful, I have unlimited energy. I'm going to get there and I'm going to be fine. Right? So in your run, you picture yourself at the end of that 18 miles. So maybe you look at your watch and you see 18 miles on your watch, or however you track your distance, or, you imagine yourself like finishing well, and then your body will get you through it. You don't want to actually think about the process, right? You want to visualize the end result and then just tie so much emotion around that as well. So the same thing with those affirmations. It has to be grounded with energy, with a just a whole, it's a whole thing, right? This whole vibration as far as, yes, I believe this 100% from my heart, from my deepest parts of my soul. I believe this.
So you not only say it to yourself, but you develop a visualization of the end result, and you believe that just as hard. So it's sort of tying both things together to really make it work in your brain.
Correct. Yes, because we're using more of our senses. Mm-hmm.
More of our senses. So do you do it like taste, smell?
You can do that. Some people do. For me, it's more about the feeling. It's more about feeling it. So when I use my senses, it's more of that, again, that emotional piece to it. We know that memories that do have strong emotions, smells, sounds, sights, right, are stored more vividly in the brain, and our brain stores memories throughout the brain, and it's this whole right lane, left brain. We kind of really need to get ourselves away from thinking like that. It's not that cut and dry, right?
Okay.
Our creativity does not just come from the right brain, which controls the left side of the body, right? And then we're not just all math from the left. So, and again, it makes sense, right? We're not this, we're not a computer in that sense. So we want to link both sides of the brain. And there is that linking that is very important when it comes to making decisions and discerning things. So
this is why when, let's say you're out, if a person is out running and it's a hot day and they're feeling tired, that's saying, I hate this.
Right. Oh my God, this sucks. Right.
Why am I doing this? My life is miserable.
Why did I let Jill talk me into running this?
Right. Right. That's why that's not helpful. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep. When I was training for my marathon, what kept me going was, if Oprah can do it, I can do it. She had just ran a marathon prior to my training for my marathon it's been over a decade ago. But yeah. And I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. How fast was she running? All right, I can do this. It's hilarious.
Yep.
But my mantra was, if Oprah can do it, I can do it. That was my affirmation.
Okay, so this is not a sports related thing, but many years ago, my husband and I bought a car with a stick with a standard transmission, which I didn't know how to drive. And
Okay.
he kept trying to teach me how to drive it, and I could not do it. And then one day I thought, I know people who are complete idiots who can drive this kind of car. And I sat there and I thought of every person who I could think of that I thought was an idiot and that could drive a thing. And after I did that, and I thought, if they could do it, surely I can.
Right.
And from that moment on, I was able to drive the car.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. So that wasn't very positive because it was really a very negative way of thinking about other people.
But, in a way, that's sort of the competitive spirit.
Yes. It's the competitive spirit, but it's also vicarious experience. And that is one of the ways that we actually build self-efficacy. So when I talked about studying about behavior change, improving our self-efficacy is exactly what you did. So I'm not sure if you are aware of that. And so when we improve our self-efficacy, we believe that we can do something. That is a very strong motivator and factor when it comes to behavior change.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty cool. So if somebody else can do it, I can do it too. Again, and that was again like what Chris mentioned. Like, it's you're thinking like, okay, I'm smart. If these people who I deem to be not as smart as me can do it, well, then I most certainly can do it because I'm a smart individual, right? That improved your self-efficacy, your belief that you could maintain and sustain driving a stick shift car.
So when people say, you've got this, and someone that you really respect says, you're not going to have any trouble with this, it really does make a big difference if you believe them.
Oh, yes. And yes. So that's the other thing. When you support somebody and say, you did a good job, keep up the good effort, goes farther than putting somebody down. Like, that was horrible. It does not motivate people when you say that sucked. You need to do better. If you say good job, it doesn't. And
you just get mad.
But then they also think, well, I guess I'm not good enough to do it.
Oh.
But as soon as you say, you can do this, keep trying, it's very interesting, the science behind that. Now, that's not to say that we just say, this, you get a trophy because you participated. No. Right? Please don't understand that I think that that's okay, because I don't. I definitely don't think that just because you tried your best means that you excelled, right? Right? There needs to be a winner. When you win a trophy, you did this because you excelled above and beyond other people, right?
Right.
I've had students who say, but I tried really hard. Well, okay, your effort still earned you an F. Timmy, I'm sorry. What can I tell you, right? Just because you tried doesn't mean that you succeeded.
Yes.
Right.
And that's another big reason why we need to focus on what you want the end result to be, right? I'm not just going to study hard. No, I'm going to get an A on this exam. I'm not going to study hard, because you can study as hard as you want, but you still may not get an A on this exam. I'm going to get an A on this exam, and then you'll get an A on that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
If, again, let's say you're going to run a race or bike in a race or whatever, you can say, instead of, I'm not going to say I'm going to win the race, because I'm not.
I could say I'm going to try to finish. No, that's not the right thing.
Right. We don't try. I'm going to finish, the best that I can. I'm going to finish strong and powerfully. I'm going to beat my best time I've ever completed this, okay, right?
Yes.
You don't use the word try in an affirmation.
No. Mm-mm.
Even Yoda knows that, right? There is no try. There's only do.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. Yeah, and that's a big part too, because if you say, I will try, you're going to keep trying and you're never going to succeed. Again, it's that effort. Keep trying. Okay, you keep trying. You're never,
You have to see the end result and believe it.
Right.
So do you have some advice on either on using affirmations or coming up with them, thinking up, like, how do you come up with that positive, direct statement?
Again, I would focus on what you want the end result to be. So what is it that you really want? And then what are the steps, or what are the belief systems that you need to have to make that happen? right? So, and here's something too I would just like to share, and I've been sharing it a lot. I really strongly advise people not to lose weight because they're going to find it again. If you talk to
Oh,
somebody who, well, think about it. What have you ever lost that you don't want to find again? What? Nothing except weight. How does our brain know the difference? We're talking about positive our brain is really a computer. What you put in, you get out. So if you put in positivity, that's what you're going to get out. And so in that regard, our brains are very much like computers.
I was about to ask you what's the affirmation for maintaining a weight loss? So how would you word that? Because obviously you wouldn't use the word loss.
Correct. I easily maintain my weight at fill in the blank.
Oh, you focus on the end result.
So if you wanted to actually lose weight, I
Uh-huh.
want to lose 10 pounds. So obviously I don't want to say that. I just,
So
how do you do that?
I release these
Oh,
10 pounds. I release them. I let them go
okay.
because they no longer serve me. Thank you for everything that you've done for me over the years, but I don't need you anymore. And there's somebody out there who needs these 10 pounds, and I'm going to donate these 10 pounds to that person. You take them because there are lots of people who are underweight, starving individuals.
Right, right.
It sounds really silly, but if you think about it, right, why not?
Yeah.
I release.
I release.
I release. I release the weight. It no longer serves me.
Okay.
Every bite that I take fuels my body in a healthy way, right? There's no bad foods. There may be foods that you know that you probably shouldn't eat because of, right, whatever. They trigger you to eat more sweets. If you eat one cookie, you're going to eat the whole box. So then be smart. At this point, don't eat cookies, but every morsel that goes in my mouth fuels my body for health.
So someone I talked to about, I don't even remember now where, but a while ago, was that if you were trying to not eat the cookies or whatever, is to start saying, I don't eat that. But what you're saying is that would not be a positive statement. So
I choose healthy snacks. I
Yeah.
eat healthy snacks. I eat whatever. For sure. I would.
so you don't say I don't eat cookies, you say I eat healthy foods or
I enjoy 3 cups of fresh vegetables for my snacks.
Right. Or I
You
love
can tell I don't
snack.
say that very often. It doesn't roll off the tongue.
Well, here's one that people might be able to relate to is, I
Okay.
savor a cup of blueberries.
Ah,
The sugar in these blueberries satisfies my sweet tooth because blueberries and the right or peaches. Oh, this peach just, the savory juiciness of this peach satisfies my sweet tooth. And if you think about it, oftentimes when people are reaching for cookies, it's because of an emotional thing, right? In general,
yes,
if people are having
yes.
problems with, right? So you could say food, food is fuel. I release, or even you can say, I release the hold I felt food had over me. I release the hold that I felt cookies had over me. Cookies, right? I release the hold that cookies have had over my life.
interesting.
That's a positive statement,
Wow.
right? It's a complete mind shift, but I really like. I think it's very scientifically supported. I honestly haven't read any research on changing the use of that terminology, but maybe once I get my PhD, I can get some funding and we can do some research on it.
There you go.
I can have a group that says that I don't eat cookies, and we can have the group that says I release cookies, and the whole. What a beautiful,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great thing to measure.
Right.
I'll volunteer to be part of the.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit about visualization and how it works with affirmations, but what about like meditation or mindfulness and affirmations? Do they all work together?
Absolutely. I think they all really are very interrelated. So mindfulness really helps us when we're in that moment of reaching for a cookie to pause and say, wait a minute, right? Am I really hungry? Am I hungry and do I want this cookie? Or am I, quote, needing this cookie because I don't want to feel something or whatever? So mindfulness gives us that pause or allows us to take that pause because we can now become aware.
I see.
And then we can also, if we choose to say, yeah, I want this cookie, mindfulness will allow us to eat it and actually taste it, and not just eat it and not even realize what we ate. And we can savor it and we can enjoy it and say, and so maybe now, instead of like, I'm gonna eat this cookie, I am going to savor every morsel, every bite of this cookie, and it will be deeply, and it is deeply satisfying.
Yeah.
Again, cookies aren't the bad guy. Not at all. It's how we use cookies. It's absolutely how we use cookies.
Right. And as you said, like eating one cookie leads you to eat the entire batch of cookies. But if perhaps you stop and savor one cookie,
it would satisfy.
You wouldn't feel compelled. Right.
Yeah.
It would satisfy.
Right.
Huh.
Right.
Very interesting.
So, yeah. So there's that. And then as far as the meditation goes, to answer the second part of your question, meditation for sure. It has been my saving grace for anxiety over the past 10 years. It has completely decreased my anxiety tremendously so. And I don't meditate for 30 minutes a day. It's, 10, 15 minutes. And even just that little bit is extremely important and helpful.
Yeah.
The meditation, so 10, 15 minutes you meditate, and do you just stop and do breathing?
Yeah.
How do you do your meditation?
So it depends. And there are lots of different meditation techniques. They're basically into two, and one is an open, and the other is a guided. So an open meditation is where you aren't purposely thinking about anything, and you just let thoughts flow. You are present. People will use an anchor. So it might be your breath. It might be the sound of a ticking clock. It might be the sound of a, bubbling brook or whatever. But there's like an anchoring sound. But aside from that, you aren't focusing on anything. And then guided meditations are just like that. You could do you could repeat a mantra. You could repeat those affirmations. Any of those affirmations, right, that we talked about could be used in a meditative practice. And so there's walking meditation, right? There are all different kinds, and those are more of like a guided, or I don't want to say closed, but yeah.
Is there a difference between a mantra and an affirmation?
Yes and no. So a mantra is a phrase that how would I describe a mantra? So mantra is a phrase that typically gets repeated, and some people can see mantras as prayers. So it'd be just, if we can kind of liken a mantra similar in that regard. So, and then, an affirmation is a positive statement about yourself. So a mantra isn't necessarily a positive statement about yourself.
I see.
You can get mantras that are created for you, and Transcendental Meditation, TM, is a meditation practice where you are given a mantra that is unique to you from your guru.
Okay.
So, yeah, but in general, mantras are not like an affirmation about yourself per se. They're more generalized as well. It's not as personal, again, unless you do like this TM and those kinds of things. Like,
what stops affirmations from working, or where do people go astray in doing this?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, we really need to be able to believe them. And so we may have some limiting belief on a subconscious level. So if people have some unresolved issues, right, then the affirmations aren't going to quote work. So that's why I said, like, if people aren't healthy, to say I am healthy when they're not healthy is probably not going to work for most people, unless they believe that they can get to that state, right? People that are, wanting to, again, I even talk to change their body composition, decrease their fat stores. I really try to choose my words. If it has served them, or if it's still serving them, maybe they're beating themselves up over some poor choices they made, years ago. I don't know. But from what I have read about affirmations in the literature, there is some science that is suggesting, yes, that if people have some resistance to it, whether it's consciously or even more importantly, subconsciously, then they're not going to work.
So if I were to be saying, I am strong, but I spent my whole childhood being told that I was weak, just as an example, I might not actually believe it. It may not actually be effective for me.
Correct.
Which is where I am becoming strong might actually work. That you said as like,
that's why I like the becoming Ellie, because I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I can get behind becoming fit and strong for sure.
Right. But then again, I have to wonder though, if you keep becoming, when do you ever actually get
Oh.
there?
Oh, so it's sort of like trying, isn't it?
It is.
Oh,
I'm just thinking,
I never
just
thought
thinking
of
out
that.
loud. That's why I like the every day and every way I'm getting stronger, stronger and stronger. I'm getting healthier, healthier and healthier. Whatever,
Yes.
again, releasing a hold. I love that, releasing the hold.
Yep.
Every day I'm getting stronger, or every day I'm getting healthier.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I do
Right,
too.
because that will include the I am trying and I'm working on it aspect,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying my best. I'm working at this. And most
Yep.
people are,
Yeah.
but they don't necessarily feel that they are healthy right now today or strong right now and today. So,
Yeah.
Do affirmations work with physical problems? So I guess if we were talking about releasing weight, but if I had some sort of physical condition, can affirmations help with that?
I fully believe it, yes. Well, I know that I have an acquaintance who, without chemotherapy, has put her cancer into remission. So, yes, I definitely think that we can do that.
Well, now that's a pretty strong
Yeah.
thing.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking about my Achilles tendon, not something as serious as cancer.
Yeah, for sure. It's like I'll give you an example. So they did a study on golfers, and they had one group of golfers picture themselves swinging their golf club, and the goal was to make a hole in one. And then they put another group, and all they had them visualize was the ball going in the hole. Right. So the ball going in the ones that visualized the ball going in the hole obviously did better because their bodies were going to figure out how to do it. Any type of like vision board, or once we know what we want, we will be open to the ways that we're going to make that happen. We don't have to know how it's going to happen. We just have to know what we want. And then those activities, those actions, those behaviors, those whatever will show up. So for Chris, in your example, like if you want to heal your Achilles tendon,
Mm-hmm.
so if it's every day my Achilles tendon is getting healthier and healthier and healthier, maybe there's a stretch then that you see like, oh, I should be doing this.
Yes.
I should do this. Does that make
I have
sense?
a list on my wall right here. I'm
Right,
looking at right now.
right. But I'm just saying, like,
Yes.
your brain will pick up on this is what's going to help me get there.
Because I pay attention to that. I
Correct.
look for that. Sort of like you were talking about the car that you see
Yes.
all over the place, because
Yes.
that's where my focus is.
Right.
So it's not that your mind is just going to suddenly heal your Achilles tendon, but it will prompt you to do the things necessary to improve.
Correct.
Yeah. And that's what's needed.
Because a lot of us are just like, I just want to think it and
Make it happen.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not like, there is no magic pill there. We have to do the work, but that's too where the growth mindset comes into play, right? We say yet, right? I haven't done this yet. And that is what changes that negative into a positive. I haven't climbed, I can't climb this hill yet. I can't, I haven't done this yet. And that little bit of a yet, again, the studies have shown, makes the difference.
I love it. I have a question for you, and I know you're working on your doctorate for health psychology, and I'm not sure, is there a thesis project around that? And if so, what is your project, or is there some special study? A capstone kind of thing?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I'm super excited about it. So I'm actually studying health responsibility in community college students. I will be writing a dissertation, and I'm looking at the choices that community college students are making regarding their health. And then I'd like to see if I can understand what community college administrators kind of feel or think they should be helping provide, health opportunities or what, for our students. Because I teach at a community college. What's interesting is that young adults, 18 to 26, which is a prime age of our students, are the most unhealthy. Right? It's a very unhealthy population compared to adolescents and, then adults. And it makes sense to me because they're going from mom and dad or somebody, making their appointments and taking them to the doctor to now they're on their own. They're adults, right? They're 18.
Right.
They're making the appointments. The doctors aren't going to talk to the parents about, Jimmy, like you pretty much have to do this on your own now.
Right. And then they quit going to the dentist and the eye doctor and
Right. They don't go.
And they drop the health insurance because they don't want to pay the co-pays. And
Right. Or if they're on their parents, they don't have that information readily, or, they don't want to bug their parents because, whatever, if they're
Right.
still covered, because they still can be covered up until the age of 26.
Right.
And it stemmed from, I wanted to study and understand why some people, like through COVID, why did some people choose to take on healthier behaviors, and why did some people not? Why did some people, gain weight, and why did others lose weight, right? The whole blah, blah, blah. But, and resiliency, I understand, as a part of it, but then, all those other motivating factors to the choices that people make. And then, what do we do moving forward? But the health responsibility is a big one, especially like at the college level. And for this age population, and again, college, physical education is not required for graduation at most universities. It's not required at the colleges. Right now, financial aid will not pay for it because it's not part of a program of study. If it's not, it is a part of my program of study, and we've gotten some of the programs like mesotherapy and deaf and interpretive services, some programs to incorporate physical education as part of the degree program requirements. But health and wellness is not part of our educational learning outcomes. I think that's just it drives me, it's crazy. We know the connection between physical activity and health, and the improvements on brain and performance and learning, right, in adolescents and children. But at the college level, what, does that go away? Like, why is this no longer important?
Yeah.
And it's because they're adults, right? And they should know better. It's that whole health responsibility. And it's not my responsibility and the college administrators. It's, you're an adult. This is, you've been taught this all your life. I don't know, but I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
So I want to study it.
This is a question we ask a lot of people on our podcast, but I think it's a good one for you. How do you define fit?
Fit. So you're asking about fit, not healthy, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the question is, how do you define fit? But you can go with it however you like. You could say you don't like that word.
If somebody's fit, yeah. So it's interesting. When you said fit, what came to mind was a body that appeared to be a healthy, normal body weight, right? Lean, a little bit muscular, not a lot of excess body fat. I envisioned the person smiling. So fit to me is somebody who maintains their body to its optimum health that it can be and enjoys life to the fullest.
Oh, excellent.
That's great. Here, shifting gears. How do you eat? Do you have a particular way? Vegan, vegetarian, paleo?
The way that the eating has been, notice the words there, one of my biggest struggles. And it is something that I have been healing over the years. And I really feel like I have come to one of the best places that I've ever been. I used food for many other things besides fuel, even though I've maintained a pretty healthy body weight. Like, I've never been super overweight, but I certainly did not have a very good relationship with food. I am an omnivore at the moment. I do eat mostly plants. It's a plant-based. I eat a lot of vegetables. I eat salads and spinach, and I'll do smoothies. Red meat maybe once a month. I don't eat a lot of chicken. I focus more on fish, and I'll do pork.
Okay.
Tuna, lean proteins. So I do a mix, and I'm in the process of deciding on whether or not I want to eliminate meat. I do eat eggs, but just the egg whites. I've noticed that the whole eggs just don't really agree with me. So I just eat the egg whites. So to answer your question, I'm still figuring out what's really best for my body. And as I'm aging, I know that is definitely changing. Have known over the years that what I eat absolutely affects my physiology and how I feel. Like, if I eat sugar, if I'll eat gummy bears, my knees will bother me. It will affect my arthritis. I know that for a fact. So at this point, am just, again, trying to figure out the mix of, because typically I've tried doing vegetarian, not necessarily vegan, but just vegetarian, mostly plant-based, and it didn't do well. I think I need more substance and more protein. And so now that there's coconut protein, and there's, different types of proteins out there, I think
Right.
I'll have a better, but I'm still in the process of figuring it out, to be very honest.
Sure.
So
Do you not eat chicken because you don't like it, or is there some other reason?
So interesting. I had noticed after I ate chicken that I would be super tired, like almost fatigued. And yeah, I know, so weird. And it's not fried chicken, it's a chicken breast. I don't eat and I just thought, wow, okay, I'm going to just not do that. So what I'm doing now is paying better attention to how I feel after I eat, an hour later or hours later. And so like this morning at about 10 o'clock, I had a turkey wrap and spinach, and I had mayo and spinach. I had mayo, spinach, provolone, 2 slices, and turkey. And I'm feeling pretty good. And I noticed, it's so funny, when I did my ride, that's what I was having for lunch. I was having turkey wraps. Like, I feel pretty good. I'm not super stuffed. I don't feel bloated. So that's where I'm at right now as far as with my eating. I'm really kind of checking in. And again, I'm 51. So I'm approaching menopause. I know I'm not through it yet. And, I'm not having any hot flashes or any of those kind of symptoms. So I'm grateful for that. I definitely think exercise helps all of that.
Sure.
I know that my physiology and my hormones are changing, so I need to pay attention.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today. It's been so enlightening. I really, really enjoyed all the different things you shared. But if someone wanted to donate to your fundraising for the Pan Ohio Hope Ride, where should they go?
Oh gosh, thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here. If I help, anyways, I'm so honored and grateful to be able to help people on this journey of life to manage it a little bit better. So it would be the Pan Ohio Hope Ride, and then just under Christine Phillips. I mean, I have a page. I've signed up for next year, and so now we're fundraising for next year. And you would just search my name, through that Pan Ohio Hope Ride, and then Christine Phillips. I'm on the turtle herd, which is hilarious because we do actually ride pretty fast. But herding us together at the stops is it's like herding cats. So that's where the turtle part came in. But yeah, it's kind of an oxymoron. We do like to ride fast. But thank you so much. Again, this has been a great honor and privilege to speak with you ladies. I'm so grateful. Thank you for asking.
Well, thank you.
Well, it's been great having you. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.
Sounds good. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. I really liked what she had to say about losing weight and finding it again.
Yeah.
If you hear me talking about releasing the weight or the weight I released, you'll understand why I'm saying it that way. In today's podcast, she discussed several ideas that I'm going to try to incorporate, I'm going to incorporate into my own life.
There you go.
I found her interview quite interesting. I am eating better every day.
So, what she had to say about affirmations was great. I totally get what she said about needing to be able to believe what you're saying. That really makes total sense to me. And I think I'm going to try using the I am strong. I'm going to try using it. I think I will use it.
Yeah, isn't it funny how that just creeps right into, everyday talking?
Yeah, so I am going to say, I am strong when I'm running.
Well, I certainly hope our listeners will leave a message on our voicemail to let us know how they are incorporating the affirmations into their life. Our phone number is 330-970-6662.
Or, if you'd prefer, send an email to jill@becomingellie.com or leave a comment on our website. We would love to hear from you.
Looking forward to talking with you during our next podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye for now.